Hello, everyone. I'm Jen, and you're watching Living the Catholic Life, where we talk about all things Catholic and how they pertain to your everyday life. So, today we're going to talk about love, that four-letter word that affects everyone's lives. And, when we think of love, we think of a warm embrace, or we think of, our mother and how comforting she is, our father, or a romantic evening, or doing something really nice just to show someone that you love them. But something that has been left out is the other side of love that can sometimes not be so nice, not so pleasant, let's put it that way. And it doesn't mean that it's not an act of love, it's just not flowery, and it's not always positive. It can be corrective, it can be constructive, but not always something to make you feel good about yourself. What inspired me to do this video was I did a funeral a few days ago, and on the back of the program, one of the family members requested 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. And I'm going to read that for you right now. Love is patient, love is kind. It is not jealous. It is not pompous. It is not inflated. It is not rude. It does not seek its own interests. It is not quick-tempered. It does not seek to brood or cause injury. It does not rejoice over wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But there's something that it leaves out here, and probably for good reason, but it leaves out that love is tough. Love is tough sometimes. For instance, marriage isn't always easy. Love can be a decision. Love can be, I have made a promise to be with you for the rest of my life, whether it's good or bad, just like wedding vows, for better, for worse, for richer or poor, sickness and health. Sometimes love is tough. Another way that love can be tough is when you have to correct a child, or even a parent has to correct an adult child. My children always knew I wasn't always happy with them, and I would correct them, but there was never a minute in their lives where they did not believe that they were not loved. They knew they were loved every minute of every day that they've ever been on this planet, and probably before that. And in today's society, it's almost taboo or wrong to correct someone or to point out something that maybe they should have considered regarding love or regarding love for another. Sometimes it's hard to take when someone comes to you and says, listen, I love you, so I'm going to tell you this. And a lot of people don't take that well, like, what is it? It's not any of your business. What concern is it of yours? You have no right. You have no, any reason to even put your nose into what I'm going through, what's going on. You don't know me. How can you say that? You don't know me. But that isn't the case. As Catholics, and especially as Christians, we are supposed to make people aware. It doesn't mean that we have to be perfect, because everyone will say, oh, well, you know what? When you're perfect, you can come tell me. You can come tell me then when you have everything perfect. No, that isn't how it works. I'm sorry, it's not. No one is perfect, and no one judges. This isn't a conversation about judgment at all. This is just a conversation about what is the right and what is the wrong thing. You can tell somebody they're right or they're wrong without judging them at all. There's no judgment attached to it. It's just letting them know. And if you know that they know, what the consequences will be for whatever it is they're doing, then you just leave it at that. You're not here to punish them, or judgment would be if you punished them or treated them in a different way because of how they felt or something they said. This is not about that. This is about when love isn't flowery, and when love isn't fun, when love isn't always nice. And it's something that we need to bring back into this society. The first thing that comes to my mind when someone says, well, why do you care? It doesn't hurt you. It's not affecting you. But it kind of does. It kind of does. And the big thing about Satanism, in case you hadn't noticed, one of their mottos is do what thou wilt. Do what you want. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, just do what you want. And why do they say that? Because they don't want to talk about the consequences of what it can be if you do something you want to do and it's against the teachings of God. And God doesn't go away because you don't believe in him. And maybe, for the atheists, they can say, well, God even, Jen, you're just blowing steam because, God doesn't exist and you're just going through all this for nothing and you're living your life under all these rules. And what good is that going to do when you could have, had every drug experience, sexual experience, steal money and go live the high life, or be dishonest and do whatever it is you feel you want to do, or anything, stealing money from some bad person, and it still makes it bad. And that's the thing. People thinking that being humanitarian is having sympathy for everyone, having sympathy for any way of life, any way of working, any way of being. That isn't really what humanitarianism is. It's doing what's best for humanity. And I think that it's being veiled by media, by society. They're getting everyone to believe that if you don't make sure that every single person is saved, that every single person can live a happy life in whatever skin or shoes or sin they're in, they should be able to do that. Which, in a free country, they can. Except we have to acknowledge as Christians that kind of does put us in a strange position, because if you read your Bible, you know about Sodom and Gomorrah and what God did to them. You know what he did with Noah, because there was so much sin in the world. And we know that the end days will come when there is so much sin in this world, more than there ever has been. If you look around you, what do you see? We are put on this earth as followers of Christ to be like Christ and to help others to be like Christ. We are not here to be on this planet to live and do and say and think whatever we want. We are here to do what we ought to do. It's as simple as that. And I don't know how many people I will get to understand this, but I'm hoping that somebody is going to understand. And, even if what I'm talking about ends up being absolutely nothing when I die, how bad can it be that I lived my life and others like me with rules, with morals, with knowing that you treated your fellow neighbor with respect and love? Jesus did sit with prostitutes and tax collectors and the sick and the diseased and the dying, and I'm sure homosexuals at one point, or with people with identity crisis or anything. The difference is, people, is that he didn't tell them it was okay. What he told them was, there is a better life after you have gone to death. You will rise. You will be with me in heaven in glory. This whole thing of acceptance is not what Jesus did. Is not what Jesus would do. He would not say, no matter what you do, you will be in heaven. You're a good person. He will say, your whole life, no matter what you've done, I've loved you. But you know what? When you die, there's no more mercy. When you die, it is only justice. While you are here on this planet, you are given every opportunity to live your life the way it is guided by the Bible and the 10 Commandments. You must love each other, as that is the greatest of all the concepts. And Jesus says that you must love. It does not say you have to like what they do. And if you die and you have sin on your soul, you've lived a life that is not the way Christ has deemed that you live, he will say, I've loved you every minute of your life and even before you were alive, but you did not live as I asked, and therefore you cannot share eternity with me. And so being the Christian, being the Catholic that we try to be in our lives, it is not wrong to tell someone when they're doing something that is not parallel with what Christ teaches. You don't have to be responsible for anything, and you're not judging. All you're doing is telling them the right way. It's their choice. It's their free will as to whether they follow it or not. But we are going to be asked when we die how many souls we saved. Or why didn't you tell Cousin Shirley or Uncle Bill when the opportunity presented itself that they were doing something wrong? And you can do that in love. It doesn't matter if they find that you were rude, because they can take it as rude, even if it's not, or inappropriate, or judgmental, or any of those other things. They just don't want to hear. That's the whole thing. Nobody wants to hear that anything they've ever done is wrong, or that their opinion is wrong, that the truth is what they believe. And truth is their opinion. I think the truth is what I believe, of course, but that may not, what if it's not the truth? What if somebody says, oh, Jen, this isn't the truth at the end? Well, that's okay. That's okay. Christ came on this planet and he gave us the truth. God gave us the truth in the 10 Commandments. We know what's right and wrong. We do have to love everyone. I have friends from all walks of life, and I love them dearly. I do not condone always what it is they do. And yes, I've lost friends. I've lost people that I cared very much for because they can't overcome or look into themselves, have the insight to know that this is not the right way to be. And you know what? If those people really did care and they understood the concept of how God often looks at us as one group of people, as we know from Sodom and Gomorrah and the time of Noah, that they would try to be a better human. They would try to be more godlike. So don't ever stop. Don't ever stop believing what you believe or loving anyone. Love, 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 love everyone. And you know, if you try once with a person that you know is maybe not necessarily quite living the life they should, or if they were, grew up Catholic, for instance, and they've gone away from the church. Why? It can't hurt to ask. I mean, we're not here to, hound people to death and knock on doors and, pound it into their heads. But it is your responsibility to just plant the seed. Just plant the seed. That's all that matters. Love is not always flowers. It's true. And I hope you take this, and I hope you learn from it, and I hope you think about person or people in your life or your family, your friends, that you've been wanting to have a conversation with for a while. And you either think about having that conversation, or you just drop a seed. Just a little one. Maybe you just might save them. And it's all for love. I hope this video helped, and I hope you all stay well. Pray the rosary every day for the change you want to see in the world. And if you like this content, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell so that you know when I put new videos online. All right, guys, God bless.